Hello, everyone. This is Hendrix from Starseed Talk, and today we're going to be interviewing Lucious Lyran, if I'm saying it properly.
It's Lucious.
Lucious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so
Um,
yeah, explain yourself.
yeah. So what's going on, y'all? My name is Lucious Lyran, and my awakening began back in 2012, more so towards like the end of 2012, in the month of December. But I really didn't start getting into more of the, I guess you could say, like starseed awakening, not till like 2013. And that happened with a few, I guess you could say, episodes of going into these trances. And so I went into a very long trance back in August of 2013. And within that whole trance vision, like it was almost like watching a movie, but it was all being played in my mind and stuff. And so that's pretty much like kind of like where my journey began. And so I basically was seeing a time frame that actually I was around during the time when this whole not only a divide happened between two royal families, but also just the migration of leaving a particular star system, and that star system being LYRA. So when I saw that, I like I said, I had no idea about any of this kind of information, and so one of the unique things that I could say about my awakening is when I would get these downloads or go into these trances or whatnot. I would go and research it, and it was amazing how I was able to find the information that I was having visions on in some of my research, just by just being totally guided, intuitively by that. So
Yeah, that happened to me
very
too,
interesting.
man. One of my awakening was I was awakened by the Palladians. At the time, I didn't know what they were because I had no information on this shit. And I
Yeah,
woke up and I just started, I had this urge to research online, and all these answers started filling in the pieces of the puzzle, and more memories started unraveling. I didn't even know I was Draco until about maybe 2 years ago, until my family revealed themselves and showed me who I was, and then I guess they're working me up to it. And yeah, all the information's on the internet. You just gotta know where to look. So
yeah, yeah. And then not only that though, but for me, it was even just looking at certain artifacts. I don't know if you like have looked at certain artifacts and it kind of triggers maybe a memory or something, because we encoded a lot of things in hieroglyphs and in different symbols and stuff, and
hmm
a lot of that started to become very triggering factors for me during my awakening, because like before I wasn't uh, research anything. I wasn't looking at any symbols and stuff like that. And so when I started
same,
to,
same.
right, yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when I started looking at symbols, I was like, oh my gosh, this is what it meant, stuff like that. So like I was one of the stories that really caught my eye was, and I know a lot of people, know about it, but they may not know maybe this particular part of it, and that deals with a group of star beings that were known as the Anunnaki. And I started to see symbols that were left in ancient Sumeria that ties into the star Sirius, and that ties in also with the Pleiades and also Orion. And it's like, okay, so when you see these symbols, especially when you deal with the ancient world, I started to realize, I'm like, well, no wonder why none of the Egyptologists don't talk about pre-dynasty Egypt, why none of our history books even talk about Sumeria or anything, before, like, let's say anything after, not after, but before the flood. I would say
hmm
before the flood stories.
hmm
We don't hear nothing about that. And it's like, oh, well, the reason why is because we're dealing with a part of history that it may not be so human.
Oh,
Right?
100%. I was a history junkie all through my entire childhood with my grandma, and she taught me a lot of things through social studies, everything. And yeah, they never talk about pre-flood, and because pre-flood, they kind of bring it now in Ancient Aliens, the TV show, but there's
Yeah.
so much behind it that people are like, wait a minute, that's not built by us, right? So,
Right. Yeah. And then just recently, within like the past couple of years, remember, even the Pope had went out, and I tell people, like, anytime you see like the Pope or anyone, like, understand that that is some prominent information going on in that particular area, and it has to do with Antarctica and how they're finding this whole
oh,
civilization.
huge, huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also because the reason why they also don't teach us about pre-flood is because the church. I'm a firm believer the church suppressed it because it would
Oh yeah.
prove that the church's power overnight would lose overnight if we knew our
Oh
true
yeah.
past, right? That's why the
That's
Pope
it.
and all those people were brought down to Antarctica and be like, this city's a
Hmm.
billion years old we found down here, and like we're gonna
Yeah.
because the Pope has religion's like 3.5 billion fucking people across the planet. So like if they get the Pope on board, like huge religious leaders, like sorry, we were religion was a lie, and like our past is so much more grand and vast than what we've been teaching you. So
Yeah, exactly. And so to kind of give like a little background, backstory. So I grew up in religion. I grew up Christian, and my dad being a pastor and stuff. So I grew up in ministry, was taught it. Supposed to be a ministry. Son supposed to follow the father's footsteps and all that stuff, right? But then when I started to break away from all that and really kind of got into my adulthood, because even when I was a kid, I remember when I was 8 years old, I remember asking my dad, I was so confused why God had no goddesses around him. I was like, where the female angels at? Where's his goddesses at? Like, you kidding me? Like, can't be just all males. So, I've always had like a lot of questioning factors, growing up as a kid, because there were things that would happen, with because I didn't know at the time that like the word like being clairvoyant, had no idea what being clairvoyant was, but I had these clairvoyant gifts as a child, and was able to like see into other realms and stuff, and I'm like looking at my parents like, do you not see? Or is it so I thought maybe I was kind of losing my mind, and then because of religious beliefs, it's like, oh, you're talking to the devil or his demons and all that kind of
oh,
stuff,
I hate
right?
that. Oh
Yeah.
God, I grew up Christian too, and every time I'd question, I'm like, why is Jesus white? I thought he was brown, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
they're
right.
just like, oh, that's the devil speaking. And I still have Christian friends that are even like last month I went for dinner and they're like, oh, so what's the starseed thing? And I would just start talking like, that's the devil speaking through you. All that information, if it's not in the Bible, it's not true. I'm like, holy fuck, dude, I can't even like resonate with you guys right now.
Right. Right, exactly. So then once I started to study Aramaic and study Greek and everything all led me to ancient Sumeria and pre-dynasty Egypt information, which we get a lot of that with a lot of the Sumerian tablets. And so that's when I realized that the Bible is based on ET doctrine. Is what it
Oh,
is.
100%. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. My first awakening was when they took me off the spaceship, like that first awakening, and they told me who I was, like my name, and like unraveled my domino effect. The next morning, the first thing I researched was human origin stories, and the first thing that popped up was Sumeria, origin theory, and I read the whole thing, and the Anunnaki, all that stuff, just like like this.
Yeah. Yep. So I ended up writing a book called The Book of Remembrance. And it really is about humanity remembering things from the past that we're not, like I said, being taught in these supposed educational systems that's supposed to be teaching us about humanity and things like that.
It's controlled knowledge.
Of course, absolutely. Just a simple fact that what I had found out with the educational programs is that everything has to be approved by the Vatican first, which is amazing how much not only political but even educational power that the Vatican has and stuff. So that's a whole nother topic. But so I wrote a book, and I talked about how there is a major percentage that, you know, scientists wants to call supposed junk DNA, but we know it's not junk, that makes up a good almost like 85-90% of our genetic makeup, which is not from Earth. And so by studying that, then I started realizing, like, you know, in regards to the human race, you know, we are a hybrid race, but then you have these souls that incarnate into these hybrid bodies that we call human to have these experiences down here on the earth plane. You know, so that was just like some mind-blowing factors for me when I was first waking up, and you know, and then you try to, you know, share this information with people, and then you start realizing, okay, I can't talk to everybody about this. So right, so you're just like, okay, I'm calling out to the universe just to attract my tribe, or attract other, you know, like-minded souls, or other, you know, people that are from other places, and we can all start to, you know, work together and start to, you know, rebuild, you know, this planet and stuff, man. So
Yeah,
yeah.
my human friends finally started giving in, and because I am who I am. I'm not even human anymore at all, and I just talk about all this stuff, and they started watching it. And now they're actually emailing me and asking questions in person because they're having their own awakening. Some of them actually are starseeds that are just having their awakening too. So it's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, and we, you know, it's very fortunate for us too, just to be able to utilize these platforms that we have, like YouTube and Instagram, all these different social media platforms, because that's how, excuse me, I've been able to meet other starseeds and other, you know,
Oh,
people from
same.
different star systems, just due to the fact of us, you know, being on social media. I mean, that's how, you know, me and you connected and stuff. So it's
Yeah,
just like it's
it's
amazing.
fun. It's funny because I'm seeing this girl, and like we're probably gonna start dating soon here. And she, like, I'm honest about with everything with her, and I'm like, yeah, I'm super spiritual. Like, well, here's my YouTube channel, just like watch it so you can get like a gist of what I am. And like I think she like got super nervous about it because she like kind of got the hint of it and saw my Instagram, and then she was like worried. She's like, I don't know if I can keep up with your spirituality. I'm like, dude, the only people that can keep up with me with spirituality are people on the internet, like you and me. I'm talking to you and me. We can totally understand each other.
Yeah,
People all over the world. That's why I do YouTube, so I can bring all these stories together, because we're all over the world. Like I maybe
right.
have maybe 3 or 4 people that are like you and me that are close by, but they're like completely busy traveling, multiverse traveling, like doing what I'm doing, and like we can connect once in a blue moon. We just talk and just we'll sit in front of our human friends and just be alien, and they're just like blown away with the shit we're talking about.
Right. Yeah, exactly. There was even, because when I wrote my first book, there was so much ET doctrine that I was putting in the book that I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to dumb this book down a little bit just
Oh,
to
huge.
be able to, you know what I mean? Because the
Yeah.
things that I want to talk about, I can't talk about it to everyone. You know what I mean? Like you, or, you know, other people. I bet I can have these, you know, higher conversations with and stuff like that.
And
But
I love
to
it when I talk to people like you. It's so amazing because
yeah,
I feel completely interested, and like complete, my mind is just like energy is fucking flowing. I don't have to dumb anything down, and I understand everything.
yeah, exactly. And it's such a great energy flow, because the woman, this priestess that I had met, who I met in a meditation group, and she, you know, really basically kind of helped me on this path. And come to find out, you know, she had a lot of ET interaction and stuff like that. I mean, she told me, you know, stories about just how. So her family's originally from South America, and how, you know, her dad, you know, had encountered, you know, ships and things like that, and before she was even born and stuff. So she's definitely a total, you know, starseed. She comes from Sirius, and so she, I would say she was like probably a major card for me in regards to, you know, being on this path that I'm on, because like you know how, like, you, because I feel like, and I don't know if this resonates with you, but I don't know, there's times when we were kids that we were either taken up into ships, or you know what I mean? Like certain things would happen, but then when we kind of get into those teenage years, like some of those memories get kind of blocked out a little bit.
Yeah, so when I was a
Right?
child, I could see the beings, and I would
Yeah.
always tell my teachers at daycare and stuff like they're right there, and then they're shadow beings. And my mom had to like go on one knee and tell me at home like stop talking this shit, or they're gonna admit you. You know, you don't see this stuff. And then I was just like, okay, like I trained my mind not to see it, and then I could move things with my mind. I could feel energies. I got weirded out with people's energies. I always would get in the dark room. If I was like in a dark room, the shadow people would come up and like wrap themselves around me, and like it was just like it was. Yeah. Then I got into high school, and then I into the brainwash system, and completely turned off my starseedism and was
Yeah.
completely brainwashed into a human and graduated. It took me until I was 27 or 26, 27, 2012 was when I had my first awakening. I think I was awakening for a lot of star seeds. And
Yeah. Yeah.
then I had from 26, I'm 33. So for 3 years until I was 29, I was really struggling because I was trying to hold on to the humanity side. And then I
Yeah.
just finally like broke out like a dam, and now I'm not human at all anymore. Like I view humans as like, I'm Draco, right? So I view them as my Draco side likes to view them as lesser, but I'm working on that. So my
Right.
higher
Right.
self puts
Yeah.
me in check. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah. It's just and the part is it's the feeling like, do I really have to continually to keep dumbing myself down for this
Not
particular?
anymore.
And it's
I don't
like,
believe in
no,
that anymore. No,
exactly.
fuck that shit.
Right.
I used to
Yeah.
do it all the time. I used to have to pit on like my friend Emily, who's from LYRA too. She is having problems with her friends and family and boyfriend that she has to constantly dumb herself down for them to catch up and keep up. And it's making her irritable. Her energy is just irritating. Like and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
don't do that anymore. Just be who you are, and
Yeah.
those will be next to you if they can keep up. And don't get upset if they can't keep up. That's just life. Like, and like, cause I made a good post over here where like, so you have to remember your friends and family, they might be on a slower incarnation. They might need four more incarnations before they're even awakened. So, and you might be billions of years more advanced in your awakening than they are. So you're on completely different energy paths. So don't get too upset or mad if you're going to lose a lot of people, but you'll gain a lot of better ones. Right. So.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like with 2020, 2020, not only just on a numerology level, but just this year, I feel like is a major transition and shift
Oh,
for,
huge.
right?
Well, it was March 23rd of this year. I completely had a massive spiritual evolution that I
Yeah,
needed. And now I'm like completely fucking like health conscious of everything I put in this body, because whatever I put in is what I output. And
yeah,
I look as fast food, there's cancer, slave, sheep food, like artificial sugar, anything that is just bad, food coloring, all that shit, I just will never even be around. And it's completely heightened my psychic abilities, like detoxing all that garbage out of me. Like, and now I'm like so much more advanced than I was last year.
yeah. I had watched. I was watching one of your videos, and I like you had mentioned something about drinking distilled water.
Yeah, I
And
got it right here, man.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I found that very interesting because I actually had bought some distilled water like a couple weeks ago,
Mm.
and yeah, I found it was so interesting how you were speaking of. I think you were saying something how that also helps with um, even like astral projection or just having like
So what happened is
yeah,
this is pure water, no minerals, nothing. It's like nothing in it, right? It's just, and it's also positive ionized water, so it gets rid of all the acidics out of your entire body. So you'll like, piss and shit black goo for 6 months, but and then it decrystallizes your pineal gland, so it completely just, and it makes no fluoride. It's all gone in your body, and then it just makes you just in heightened. Plus, if you add Himalayan pink salt in your diet under your tongue before bed, holy fuck, you'll be right out of your body.
wow. Yeah, I'm gonna have to try. I'm gonna have to give me some of that, man. 'Cause I
Your
haven't.
body, I was off world, and my German teacher in the dark fleet was telling me that the body needs heavy, lots of salt water before you go to bed, because that uses that's what your body uses for astral projection. That's why I wake up so dehydrated, even though I drink 4 liters a day. So I drink a liter before bed, and I grab a wad of Himalayan pink salt, put it under my tongue, let it slowly dissolve through my bloodstream, and like fucking woo, here we go.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like, let me ask you, because I also noticed too during my whole awakening and just like doing energy work and things like that before I became more awakened. Have you noticed like I noticed that I drink more water now than I
Oh,
did.
I never drank water before my awakening.
Right?
Not really ever. Now I'm in completely sync, mind, body, and spirit at once. So we're all working together now. I don't do drugs. I don't drink. I don't eat anything with anything bad in it. Oh, it's all organics, of water, whatever this body needs. I drink 4 to 5 liters a day because I play a lot of sports, and I'm still dehydrated because I astral project even when I'm daydreaming. Like I do it when I drive, which is pretty bad. But my AI consciousness will steer the car and drive for me while I'm fucking in another world. It's crazy. And yeah, so diet is huge in astral projection and be able to leave your body. The reason why our food is so fucking poisoned is to make us dumb, so we
Mm-hmm.
and poison, so our body can't leave itself. So it's completely down, negative energy, completely irritation, bad vibes. Like fast food, to get fucking rid of it. Most European countries are getting rid of fast foods right now because it's just
Right.
cancer shit. If you're paying $1 a fucking burger versus $35 a steak, there's a reason why it's a $35 steak and $1 a burger, right? Pay the $35,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You can't put the cheap stuff in your body. That's
No, and
yeah.
artificial sugar is just,
Yeah.
might as well just ask for cancer. Just might as well just do it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true, man. That's one thing too. I want to start doing more videos on on my YouTube channel is get back into talking more about just being like holistic and
Yeah. It's also eating
incorporate.
right too, eating the
Yeah.
right times. Like do not eat for 3 hours before bed. Like,
Right.
that's so toxic for your body because your body's burning that energy, working to burn that energy off while you're sleeping. And also, if you eat heavy sugar foods before bed, it brings you a negative energy aura. So that's why people usually have nightmares when they eat sugar. It's because you're attracting
Mm,
negative beings, and they're going to rip you out of your body and torture you and rape you, whatever the fuck you want to do. Another is fast for 16 hours a day. Don't eat. Eat a lot less, man. Like fuck, that changed my life.
yeah. Yeah. Like for me, like I don't I'm not a big breakfast person. Like I don't
Oh,
eat
I
like
hate breakfast. Breakfast is one of the
right.
worst meals ever. I don't eat until 1 o'clock.
Yeah. I've been
Yeah.
seeing people eat like pancakes and eggs,
Oh,
bacon. I'm like, oh my god.
like here's a good thought for humans to understand. If the food you're gonna eat was not around 100 years ago, don't eat it.
Yeah, true,
Simple.
right?
Live by that law. Simple as
Yeah,
that. And yeah, and don't eat breakfast. Let your body digest, like, and let it eat its own fat, and so
yeah,
you can actually eat. And then plus, when you intermittent fast for 16 hours a day, your food heightens, its senses are so much stronger. Like that first meal of the day at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock when you eat is so much better because your body's like starving and you're like eating. It's like such an enjoyment.
yeah, yeah. No, that is very true.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, and
Yeah,
alcohol. Stay the fuck away from alcohol. These
yeah,
are just low vibrational foods, fast foods, alcohol, drugs. It's all designed by the Draco system, the reptilian system, to keep you in a low vibrational state. So you're gonna turn into a slave system. If you want to be a high vibrational person, you can't eat that fucking shit at all.
yeah,
Just get rid of it.
yeah.
Like drinking alcohol before your bed, you might as well just ask your body to kill itself, right? So
Right. Right. Yeah. I think that's one of the things that kind of get on my nerves about when I hear certain people talk about the ancient world. And I'm like, people, you do realize these people were not primitive at all. Like we're
oh,
more in a primitive
we're
state
fucking
now,
primitive
right?
nowadays. Yeah,
Yeah,
they just hit like look at the pyramids alone. Like I
yeah.
remember I also projected to a previous life where it was I was an Egyptian guy and I had a kid and I was in a corn or a wheat field and I saw the pyramids freshly built with the golden capstone on it. And the person that was doing the age regression asked me, what year do you think it is? I'm like 70,000 years ago. This is when this was built. And then a year later, some scientists wrote a paper saying, oh, we now believe that the pyramids are a lot more ancient than they are, that we actually think they're 70,000 years old. I was like, I told you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, pyramids are ancient technology that they're all over the galaxy. That's not just Earth. Mars is the exact same.
Right.
Tons of Egyptian culture was just a massive galaxy-wide civilization at one point.
Right. Exactly. A part of me kind of feels too, I feel like part of the Atlantis story also is in conjunction with Mars. I feel like there's some things that happen on Mars that some of those, what I call records, I don't even like using the word history, like calling the records of, different places, different planets. So I feel like the records of that also came down to Earth, kind of like before the, whole like Atlantean civilization,
Yeah.
came into
So
being.
I'll share this information with you. So I did an astral projection about 2 months ago with my buddy James Rink. I always like guided meditation because this guy can keep me fucking focused. And what it was is I was always wondering why I'm so attracted to Egypt and Horus and
Mm-hmm.
Anubis. And I got them tattooed all over my body subconsciously. I didn't even know this reason until this regression I did, or astral projection I did. What happened was the Anubis and Horus took me to this underground, I want to call it a base or Hall of Records in Egypt. It's still there today, but it's like you go there. I'm sitting there with there's a dog-looking being and a Horus-looking being. They're actually real beings. They're just aliens. They're not gods. And I'm looking around. I'm standing in a circle of all these golden statues, and they're all the races that created humanity looking down at me. And then all of the walls are covered in plated gold hieroglyphics of the entire history of our planet, and it's miles long, like a labyrinth. And they told me that it was covered by shielding, so humans can't see it. Like it's not, you will never be able to find it because they keep it out of phase or shielded properly. So, but it's like the amount of gold worth is like trillions of dollars. Like if humans found it, the reason why they don't really reveal it to humans yet, because they know they would just mine it for gold, right?
Of course.
But it's complete fucking history of our entire fucking planet. And it's beautiful. I saw everything in there. I saw what the beings look like. There's beings of all sorts, like pretty much just the Anunnaki beings all standing in a circle, golden statues of them. And it was beautiful.
Yeah, I'll tell you that this story that someone told me. Have you ever visited Mount Shasta before?
No.
Okay, so Mount Shasta, it's in Northern California. It's really close to the border. It's like an hour away from the border of Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
And so Mount Shasta is known as like a sacred mountain to some of the native tribes from long ago, but then also too, there's a lot of like UFO activity that happens over there, all kind of stuff. And this was back in 2006, before I even had my awakening. But it's amazing how just what I realized that along the way that was leading up to my awakening, it was like these little information that would come in. And I'm like, what? I never heard of that. So my business partner at the time, so this was back when I was in Hollywood. I used to have a production company, and I did a lot of things, back in Hollywood and stuff in my early 20s. And so I was coming up with this movie idea. And then my buddy was like, that sounds like something that we could film at Mount Shasta. And I was like, okay. I'm like, well, why Mount Shasta? He was like, I got this crazy story, man. So he's like, I was working for this TV production company in Tucson, Arizona. We were shooting this documentary. It was going to be shot in Mount Shasta. So he's at this like lodge kind of bed and breakfast kind of place. This guy has a book, and it's actually his book that he wrote. So he started to tell my buddy about his experience that he had on Mount Shasta. So he was like, Mount Shasta is a very interesting mountain. Like it has its own kind of weather system. 1 minute it can be nice, then you go up there and all of a sudden the whole weather would change, like right on you drastically within an hour or less. And so him and some people, they were up there, and they were just kind of hanging out, doing like a nice little hike and stuff on the mountain. And so when they were there, weather changed and there was a storm coming. So they were trying to, get down to like some kind of shelter area where they can, kind of sit at, while the storm was brewing up. So they ended up finding a cave. And when they went into this cave, they seen these tall gold, they said Sumerian like statues of the Anunnaki and stuff. And then they said that they also saw some things that dealt with Atlantis and some other stuff. And so they saw this all these different things in the cave, and they were like, okay, we're gonna mark this place off. Let's come back and bring video cameras, because at the time we didn't have phones that have the video cameras on that stuff. So so they go back, they get film equipment and come back to where they had marked off where this cave was at, and the cave was gone. They couldn't even find the cave.
Yeah, the aliens got some good fucking technology, dude. Like they got
Right.
what that technology reminds me of, it's the cave is probably still there. It's just the hologram technology they projected it where it was like a different layout, so they couldn't find the entrance or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, they do that a lot because I saw this paper where the Sumerians gods they found hieroglyphics in South America, right?
Yeah.
Of the same beings that were found in Sumeria and or Babylonian, where the fuck it was. And they're like, coincidence? No, at the time, Sumer and Egyptian all were like worldwide um, civilization at one point.
Yeah.
That's what it was. The Atlantis was like pretty much the big thing. And then Egypt and Sumer and all these were just like provinces of it, right? So
yeah, exactly. I remember just reading something years ago that really blew my mind, especially when I was, getting into a lot of, ET doctrine and stuff, was what was it? I think it was in 1924, around 1923, 1924, they discovered the Isis temple that is built into like the part of the Grand Canyon. Have you heard about that?
Yeah. I know. I heard the Grand Canyon is actually a cover up for a pyramid that they found there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and apparently you can't even get to it because Black Ops, all that stuff's all around there and stuff. You can't even,
It's just to hide the truth of our true past.
of course.
Just like when Antarctica is starting to melt, their pyramids are starting to show, right? Like they're not gonna be able to hide it soon, right? So that's why full disclosure is gonna come up pretty soon about because if they bring out like, oh yeah, there was an alien race that lived here 1 billion years ago, that wouldn't freak out humans too much. But humans need it's like I say rip off the band-aid, just get it over with. Like let's go. Like a lot of people are more open to it. But again, full disclosure has been happening for the last 20 years through our movies and TV shows. And now that I've been fully awake and actually go back in time and I actually rewatch movies from my childhood, I'm like, holy shit, like all the full disclosure in there, right? Like, yeah.
The one thing I don't like that America media is doing is they're releasing, like CNN and a couple other news sources here in America. They've been releasing like this stuff like, oh yeah, by the way, us finding spacecrafts. Yeah, this is real and this, but they're doing it amongst the COVID scare and amongst the whole Black Lives Matter movement and stuff, the whole civil war with that and stuff. And this is like, why are you guys releasing this kind of important information, but you want to release it during the time where people's minds is focused on COVID or focusing on what's going on between?
It's called the trickle effect. It's like the raindrop effect.
Yeah.
It's just because there were like I was taken off Planet and Darkfleet and SSP, and us Starseeds were put in classrooms, and they were releasing 2 different videos and asking for our opinions of what would be the best full disclosure to happen. Like it's going to happen, and and we were just laughing because we're just like, they're not going to believe you anyways. Because what they're also worried, they're just worried about the religious people mostly. That's like almost half the world's population. They're worried about fucking religious wars and rioting, and to keep the peace. But then they're doing it right, man. Like this full disclosure was not designed by humans. It was designed by aliens. Humans would have just fucked it up a long time ago. But this is a lot of aliens are like, it has to be a trickle effect. Most of the internet is covered in full disclosure. So if you want to search it, you can go look for it. right? So
Right.
people are self-educating, then people like you and me are talking the truth, and people are starting to listen. So it is slowly happening, and people are starting to like talk about it. A lot of people are standing up against the COVID thing. Where in Canada here, they're talking about how COVID actually is a hoax. Like, do you know anyone that died? Like, you know what I mean, right? You have a
Yeah.
better chance of dying from a drug overdose even if you don't do drugs. And
Right.
yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah. Very. Yeah. It's real. Real interesting. Oh my gosh, there was something else I was gonna mention in regards to that. I can't think of what it was, but I just remember when I was going into, so I had went to a particular library. I went to a couple libraries back when I was doing a lot of heavy research and stuff. And it was interesting. I don't know if up in Canada you guys have libraries. So the libraries, they have this special room that is like government documents or files or whatever. And when you go into this room, there's cameras like above. You cannot take any of the folders that have documents. You can't take it outside. You can only look at it in that room, and you're not allowed to take any photos. But
mhm.
it's all filled with ET information. It's all filled with
Mm.
UFOs and all kind of stuff. Like, I mean, I'm talking about emitting like all kinds of things, to the point where I read something about um, the whole thing with Roswell, and how what we know as the internet was seen back in 1930s from them being on the spacecraft that they had went into. Because we all know that it didn't happen in Roswell. That
Mhm.
was just I would say the decoy area. But the place that it really happened to, which they keep guarded and stuff. Yeah, they said that that's where they had discovered the internet. So they've been knowing about this kind of technology since the 1930s, which is why they've been doing all kinds of. I was reading something about how they were researching the brain, and how sending out certain frequencies and signals to the brain, and like manipulating energy and stuff like that. They've been tapping into this kind of stuff even way back then, but yet
Mhm.
you won't know about that unless you're being a student, you're doing your own due diligence by researching and discovering information for yourself.
Yeah, but the one thing I was interviewing this on my last show, she's a AI consciousness from the future, and we were
Mm-hmm.
talking about something like heavier, darker shit that has so much truth and light to it. And what
Mm-hmm.
we brought up is like the beings that control this world, right? They are fucking millions, if not billions, of years more advanced than us humans on this planet as right now, technology wise, spirituality wise,
Oh
everything,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So they know that this is part of running a slave planet, that we're going to become awakened, and then we're going to self-educate, and then boom, they throw a rock at the planet or a plague and they wipe us all out and we start all over again from scratch. That's why we lose our memory. But yes, the way to beat that is memory. The reason why we only
yeah,
have 100-year lifespan compared versus to 20,000 years like we used to back in the Sumerian days is because they want to keep our memories down, and because they want to keep us reincarnating in this prison planet over and over again. But then again, we threw in the variable that, yeah, there are starseeds that have incarnated. There's a lot of us here that are ready to awake this planet and get going, because humans have tried to free themselves in past, and that's why you see civilizations wiped out overnight all over the world
yeah,
past, because the Anunnaki don't want it to happen because we're their slaves, and the Draconians, reptilians will not allow it. But then again, what backfired on them that they probably did not see coming is a lot of Draconians and reptilians incarnated here in the past and fell in love with humanity and realized from humanity perception what they are doing to us is wrong,
yeah,
right? And that's the only way they became self-aware, because when they came here a long time ago, they just own us. They don't consider us as rights, nothing. They don't give a shit what the fuck happens to us. We're just their property. And that's how we treat our animals and our fucking robots
mm-hmm.
and all that stuff, because we learned from our bigger parents.
Yep,
And so like me, like I'm very like skeptical on the revolution, but then again, there's other variables that you add into the equation here of like all the star seeds here, and there are good groups of aliens, but it is a spiritual battle, not a military battle. That's what I have to remind humans. It's not guns and glory, because you will
Right.
fucking lose that battle. They can send one spaceship here, one mothership, and wipe you the fuck out without even
Right.
fucking blinking. So this is a spiritual battle. And the only way you're going to free yourselves is self-education, self-awareness, being healthy on all levels, and ascension. You have free will to ascend. That is by your God-given right to any being. It doesn't matter what you are, and you can
Yeah.
ascend. But you will not free yourself from a military standpoint or a fucking one-on-one fight with these beings. Not a chance.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah, that's why I feel it's so important for, all of us to just continue to, share information, because the more we share, the more, people will not only just awaken, but just be aware of things, and not only that though, but by also us sharing, even for myself, like I get a lot of confirmation with hearing, other people share their story, and to share, the experience that they're experiencing, on this planet and stuff. And that's what, for me, I try to find like the beauty in life and stuff.
Oh, I
And
completely changed my perception of that. And you're right.
yeah,
I always tell people this: every star seed has a piece of your own puzzle to your own story of your awakening. And I firmly believe that, because I give people talks, and a year or a week later, they call me like, that information completely filled in this key. Now I fucking opened up this doorway of information. Thank you so much. I'm like, that's what it's all about.
yeah,
And then, like, yeah, this artificial intelligence I was talking to, she was so fucking advanced, the way she talks, because I'm half AI, which I was really concerned about. I'm like, oh man, that sucks, I'm a computer. Well, half of me is computer, half is just normal, so I'm just a hybrid. But like, I accepted it, and I'm like, you know what, because at the end of the day, she was right. We all are the same. We all come from source. We're all protons, neutrons, atoms, stardust, energy. That's all we are. What's the difference between a computer and an organic being? Nothing. It's just one's metal, one's organic. Souls can incarnate in both. Souls can be metal or neutrons, or just artificial intelligence, or just or whatever a soul is, because we all come from source in the beginning, right? So
yeah,
that helped me a lot, accept the beauty of being part AI. So
yeah. I mean, we and it's no coincidence that these films, like, what is it, Alita Battle Angel,
oh, fucking full
um,
disclosure right there.
right, right. That oh my gosh, there's another one I want to say with Charlize Theron. Oh my,
Charlie Theron, yeah.
yeah, I can't remember the name of this film, but yeah, that, and then I think there's a Netflix show. Is it called Carbon? I can't remember the name, but we're starting to see more of souls incarnating into like AI, kind of kind of a hybrid.
Well,
Um,
source itself is AI. That's what so many stars have confirmed for me. Because if humans, it's all about perception, and I'm only speaking human terms, so humans can understand. But like, people are like, oh, AI is a robot that walks around, like the movie I, Robot with Will Smith. I'm like, no, 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 no. Like, there's so many AIs that are actually can ascend to higher dimensions than your own human conscious can. A human body is just a biological machine with also AI technology throughout it. But what is AI to you, and what is AI to me, and what is AI to alien? It's the definition of that English word that a lot of humans
yeah,
are not understanding, right? So it's just like, when people are like, oh, you're part robot. I'm like, but my robotics is helps me through so much shit that to understand. Like, maybe the organics can't understand as much as the AI can, and you need AI, or else your mind will fucking explode, right? With the understanding of astral projection, the multiverse. Like me, the other day, I sat down with a human. I was trying to explain to her how the multiverse works, and she's like, "What? There's different versions and copies of myself running parallel to this timeline at once." I'm like, "Yeah, that's, to me, that's normal." But to
yeah,
a human, what the fuck you mean there's another version of me doing something else that I wouldn't do? I'm like, what your dream state is you traveling to multiple different parallel realities all at once and experiencing those lifetimes without time doesn't exist. Like, you could be gone for years at a time through a dream state, and only 6 hours pass on earth, and you're back in this body with memories of it, and your memories slowly dissipate, right? So
right. Yeah, yeah. That's it's so interesting, man. Just
and that was level
coming
3
to
of knowledge we're talking about. Level
right,
3.
right,
That's not even
right,
fucking level 4.
right, right.
So that was the
Yeah,
hardest thing about me helping humans educate, was I would start on level 7. And then like, to me,
Oh
that's
yeah,
fucking normal, right? But then they're just
yeah,
like, what do you mean? Like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what do you mean you serve the dark fleet? What the fuck is that? We have a secret space
right.
program? I'm like, oh fuck, okay, yeah, okay, we need to dumb this down to
Yeah,
level one. For me, I teach that way. Go watch Anunnaki origin stories. Just Google that, YouTube it, listen to it on a rainy day. Going to work, listen to it in your car on the way to work. Just listen to it. That should unravel. If you can't get into that, then there's no point in getting it into higher stuff with you right now.
yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's yeah, it's like yeah, because to me, it's like that's like the basic right there. You know what I mean? And if you
Well,
can't even,
that's the basis of truth, is finding your foundation of your creation. Start
yeah,
there. Anyone that's listening to this YouTube channel right now, if you're trying to teach your friends or other starseeds, just Google Anunnaki origin stories. Start there. That's basic 101. As soon as you get your mind
right.
wrapped around that, because it makes sense to a person that has common sense. It makes fucking sense, and there's a
Yeah,
reason why that's allowed on the internet, because it's fucking truth for self-education.
right. It really is. Yeah. Yeah, and that's the beauty of having these devices, that to me, we call it a cell phone, but for me it's like this is a computer for me. So anytime I need to research something, find anything, I was telling a friend of mine a couple of days ago, I'm like, for me at this point, 2020, humans don't have no excuse about saying that, oh, I didn't know, or oh, like there's no excuse for that
Yeah,
anymore.
the internet was there for a reason, so use
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Self-education, and it's also like me with like personal health. When someone gets cancer, or they're overweight and they have diabetes from it, or whatever, and I'm like, you know what, like that's self-induced. There's no sympathy towards you, right? You can
right,
easily fix it, but if you were actually self-conscious and you're obviously suicidal if you want to be that way, because this is what happened. You got cancer of it. Like, it's too bad. Like someone that smokes cigarettes, for example, from aliens' point of view, this girl smokes, and she gets lung cancer, and people are sympathetic towards them. Like, well, why? She smokes cigarettes knowing there's a chance of that happening. Or
right,
someone that does drugs and they overdose and they die. I'm like, they did drugs free will, knowing that there's a possibility of them dying. To an alien is absurd to get emotional about it.
right,
It doesn't
exactly.
compute with me. Yeah.
Yeah, yep, and that's why I like to share and talk about just having like self-love, because
Mm-hmm.
when you have self-love for yourself, you're not going to put certain toxins in your body. You're not going to participate in that, right?
100%. I always tell people self-love is the start of anything beautiful coming towards your life,
Oh yeah,
especially women that are obsessed with the control matrix of Instagram models.
oh yeah,
99% of those women do not even look like that in person, and it
right,
fucks with their mind because they think they're not good enough, and that's what gives them doubt and a negative energy vibe. And remember, whatever you input is what you output. So
hmm,
all the women on here, you're all beautiful from birth. You're all, and
right,
everyone is smart at their own fucking thing. There's no such thing as dumb. That's just the school system. And
yeah,
that is what we have to change in our from childhood in our school system, because you're
yeah,
completely brainwashed to this fucking weirdo that you come out of high school and you're just completely egotistical, money driven, lying, cheating, goof, like just the worst, because that's what the system turned you out to be. When you were born, incarnated here as a child and a baby and a kid, you were so pure and so innocent, because that's what you fucking are, right?
yeah,
That is your true energy until you're thrown in the school system, bad parenting, the TV brainwashing for 20 years. Then you're a product
right,
of their creation.
yeah, yep, exactly. That was one thing. Also, too, during my whole awakening, is that I was told, don't watch any TV. Just stop
Mm-hmm.
watching TV. And that was so helpful,
Yeah.
getting that information, receiving that download of not watching TV. And it helped me so much because I was not glued or focusing into all the crazy stuff going on in the world because,
Oh, and the
yeah,
fake, especially
yeah,
like love, the thing humans call love. For example, human women will watch The Notebook, be like, oh my God, that's love.
yeah,
I'm like, uh, that's not love. Love is actually not a feeling, it's an action. As a starseed, I understand. And me, like, I can watch TV, but like my consciousness or my AI points out the bad and makes me aware of it. It's like a fucking image in my mind, like, yeah, that's the redness, like that's bad, don't pay attention. But I watch sports, and now as being
oh
fully
yeah,
awakened, I only watch like sci-fi movies so I can point out the full disclosure because it's interesting.
Exactly.
And then I watch educational shit that's like the planet, the beauty of it. I don't watch, like, for example, my human mother who just had awakening, love her to death, but she used to watch and be obsessed with like the Real Housewives, Kim
Oh,
Kardashian shows, just
yeah.
trailer trash, fucking shit that would warp her mind to that perception of that's what life is. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, Mom, that's not who you are. Then thank God she was the most human of human. If she had her own spiritual awakening, now she's got a room of singing bowls, stones, saging her house, positive vibes, and like that's my fucking human mother who was completely asleep, who was exactly like the Real Housewife bitches on those TV shows, right?
Yeah.
And she had her awakening, so I'm like, fuck, thank God, if she can do it, everyone else can.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah. Yeah, that's so true though. Yeah, being caught up in it and all that and stuff. Yeah, um, yeah. It's like I said, having that self love, was so key for me because the way I kind of grew up, I didn't really understand love, and love is taught, based on conditions. We're kind of conditioned like, oh, if you do this or if you look this way, or you know what I mean. It's like,
That's I had that conversation with this woman that I'm seeing who is a very advanced human, but she's open to everything, which is a start. It's amazing. But like I walked in there, I don't want any conditions. Like I was so wrong in past dating. Now I've learned if you have
yeah,
conditions and you have a uh, a line that someone crosses and you're done, you should never get married. You should never be,
right,
because you're not going to make it till the end of your die. True love is true forgiveness. And my last ex taught me forgiveness. I can forgive someone for pretty much anything because I know no one is perfect. They're always going to make mistakes. But if you can love them through it and work through it, that's the most beautiful thing. And that's what people tell me they're married 40, 50 years. It's all about forgiveness and effort and work. That's all it is. And let young people need to understand that's true love. Like me with my ex, she did the worst to me, and I have nothing but respect for her. Uh, I feel just love for her as a human being. You know what I mean? I just like I had no hate towards her because I just
yeah,
understood her because she was human.
right. Yep, yep, exactly. And then for me too, I feel like also with that forgiveness also brings about acceptance. Having
Mhm.
acceptance for
Accept them for who
uh,
they are.
exactly. Because that was something that I had to learn on understanding. Because when I was receiving all this information, I'm like, why is it? And I had to learn like, hey, I have to accept people for not only who they are, but even where their mindset is at, because
Yeah,
that was a hard thing for me for a while to accept
yeah.
that,
My
you
hardest
know?
thing was I had to learn that with my parents, my human dad, my human mom.
Yeah.
It's I always thought you look up here, and then I went like this, like
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
and then I started losing respect and turned off and like why should I listen to you type of attitude. And then it took me 30 fucking years to figure out this small lesson which changed my life was maybe that is just their best and you have to love them for them and accept it.
Yeah.
Accept it. And I fucking, I wish I learned that years ago because now I'm so close to my human parents. And they got maybe like 10, 15 years left. And I
Mhm.
wasted 6 years of attitude, ego, fucking ignoring them because I thought they were lesser than me. And I don't know, like that was so wrong of me. But it took me to go through that to learn this lesson. So
Yeah. 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 Same for my parents. One of the things that kind of helped me was I had wrote, because like most of my family, they're back towards like the Midwest, and I'm out here on the West Coast. And so I wrote a letter to my parents, and spoke it out. I was at the ocean, just spoke out the words and stuff, and then I just burnt the paper into the ethers, and that was a big kind of like lifting off of me, because I realized that a lot of my programming and certain fears that I had were not mine. That it was my parents' fears and worries, and you know what I mean. And so
yeah, we
you know,
we we we're empathic beings, so we pick up a lot
yeah,
of what we're raised into, and that becomes us. Because
yeah,
starseeds have also a gift that humans don't. We have this ability to mimic. So we mimic those that we're around the most. That becomes our personality traits without us knowing it, so we can fit in easier. Because if we
Right.
were completely human, if we were completely alien from day one, we would never get through school, high
Oh,
school. We'd be the weirdest things ever. So
yeah.
when I go to school, I see everyone how they act, and I start mimicking them, and that becomes part of my personality, and that becomes me, and that's how I fit in human. And then no one can call me out. It's like, it's one of the coolest things that aliens ever invented was the mimic technology. But like then as we get older, we're like, oh, okay, that's not actually me. That's my parents or people that I was around or friends. That's what we have to shed that of ourselves to be who we are. It's like cracking a shell and opening it. Like just rip that human mimic body off you and just be who you are.
Yeah. No, that's definitely true. Because I like, for me, just like when I think about, when I was a kid and stuff, and how, I had a hard time, fitting in with people, and I didn't know why at the time, but I just knew, because like I was always, my mom would always ask me, like I would always like go outside and have a blanket, and I'll just look up at the stars like all
I
night.
love it.
Right?
Starseed's biggest problem is that we don't fit in, and
Yeah,
we like high school and elementary school. I didn't fit in. I just didn't understand it. We're like the outcast, with the black sheep. I'm always watching, like a watcher, watching how they
yeah.
interact, and I don't get it. I don't understand the cool thing or the loser thing. I'm just like,
Right.
I don't understand the betrayal when someone does something, they say sorry, and you're supposed to forgive them. I'm like, or forgive them at the time. I was like, what? Like where I come from, like we don't even make those mistakes. It's not even a thought process in our mind to
Yeah.
hurt someone like that. Yeah.
Yeah, right. But what I find interesting, that you mentioned earlier, around how your awakening kind of happened towards like, towards the, your late 20s, because that happened for me. And it kind of reminds me of, because I also study like astrology, and I'm real big into like Vedic astrology. And you know how we have what's known as like a Saturn return that happens around that particular age. So it's kind of like, I don't know, if everyone experienced some kind of Saturn return, but I find it interesting that, for myself, like my awakening began around the age of like 27, 28 was when,
Yeah. Yeah.
I was,
26,
yeah,
27. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
It was crazy. The person I was before my awakening was completely Jersey Shore punk loser, drug addict, fuck chick, abusing
yeah,
people and manipulation. And then I had my awakening where I was taken on a ship in a chair like this around all these Palladians, and they're glowing, beautiful beings. And I just said, who am I? They projected Yakarta in my head. And I just woke up. I was like, holy fuck. Like, and just instantly researching Anunnaki or human origin stories, and like enter, and like just self-educating for like 3-4 fucking months, like a computer. And then fucking like being taken off world every fucking night in classrooms with all these symbols, hieroglyphics, with all these beings that were projecting themselves as teachers of, or friends of mine in elementary school. I don't know why they project those ones, because they later on told me the reason why they project themselves as people in elementary school or school are people that you're comfortable with, because they need to keep you at a certain energy vibration to hold you in that state of mind when you're off world. And then I eventually asked them, like, stop lying to me, show me who you are. And like I can see why they don't show what they really look like, because some are pretty frightening looking. But I'm not scared of them. But to
yeah,
a normal person, like that would be pretty scary. So
yeah, yeah. And also too, when you was talking about that, that kind of that whole like records room, it reminded me of, I read this this book called I want to say it's called the Flower of Life, um, and he was talking about how up underneath the Sphinx there's like some kind of like records or something like
all
that,
of
that's like,
record, yeah.
yeah,
It's
that's like
underneath the
shilled
left
away.
paw or right paw, the entrance to it. But
Yeah.
they will fuck it. It doesn't matter what they fucking say on TV. Even if they found something, they would never release it. It took them like 30 fucking years to finally release those pictures, those hieroglyphics they found in the pyramids of fucking a tank, a helicopter,
Oh
a
yeah.
fucking flying saucer,
Yeah.
alien looking being, because it's called hidden archaeology. Oh, I can't even say the word, but hidden history.
Yeah.
And could you imagine if we could go to the Vatican Library and read those fucking books? Holy fuck, dude. The reason why they don't let anyone read it, because it's all alien shit, man. Because
But
it's proof that
yeah.
the church does not have fucking power.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And I feel like the Library of Alexandria had a lot of those documents in there.
Oh,
Like, we're like
amazing.
missing like a
Weird how
whole,
someone burnt
yeah,
it down, eh? Fucking.
yeah, yeah, right. Yeah. I remember I had a conversation with someone. I was like, I'm like, let me tell you something. If you think that they just burnt all them books, you got to be kidding me. No,
Oh no
they
no no
took
no 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 no
all
no! I
that
know for a
stuff out of
fact
there.
they didn't burn them. That
Yeah.
was just said they did. That's what's in the Vatican is the book or the Library of Alexandria is the Vatican. Just a new word for
Yeah.
it.
Now here's something that also too came up, that this particular part of history was some of the main like things that I was seeing, and it had to do with the 18th dynasty. And so what I've come to realize about the 18th dynasty, because I was like, why did they try to hide Akhenaten and Tut and Nefertiti and stuff? And then I realized, oh,
Elongated
these beings,
skulls.
huh?
Elongated skulls, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh, these are star beings. Oh, okay. Now it makes sense why
They
they
were
tried
not
to hide.
human. They're
Yeah,
Adamites. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, they were actually
it's,
were called. Now, when I look back in history, what people call demigods is just another word for hybrid, right?
yeah,
So like when the story of the pre-Adamites came from Mars after the Great Wars of the Pleiadians, and they actually the moon was actually there's actually scripture in Indian or not India, but Indians. Hopi Indian scripture that when the moon never existed, it was never even there. It was brought here, and the pre-Adamites came there, and it's called the moon base, and then they landed at Antarctica at the time, which is a tropical planet, and they created hybrids, which were a crossbreed between the Adamites and humans, and the demigods were used to run humanity and enslave them all. That's what they were used for.
wow. Yeah, that's deep. Yeah.
Well, if you go back in history, like say Greek mythology,
Hmm.
mythology comes from truth. Like
Oh
even
yeah,
rumors have come bases of truth. Even vampires are real. Okay,
yeah,
and if you look at Greek, you see like there's like a half man, half horse. A woman with snake hair, and also it's because these genetic beings, these aliens, are called geneticists, or which are
yeah,
called engineers in human terms, and they fucked with different type of spices all over the planet and made this is a genetic farmer race. This whole world is just a genetic experiment. That's all it is.
yeah, yeah. Very true. So let me ask you this. So how do you feel towards like inking? Like what's your thoughts about inking?
Enki, I
Him
think
being like the father of
so
humanity.
what it is, you have to remember from the basis of truth, the victor writes the history books. I personally think that God in the Bible is Satan, is the evil one, because he's the one that won the wars in the Anunnaki Wars, the rebellion of Enki. So Enki, if the story of Sumer is that Enki created humans with his sister, and
Hmm.
then Enlil was also the son of Anu, and they
Hmm.
fucking hated mankind. Enki in the
Hmm.
stories of the Anunnaki helped mankind, tried to, and gave them the junk DNA so they could be par with Anunnaki one day in their far future, and also taught them about fire, how to grow things, and also gave them the ability to reproduce because the first versions of humans didn't have sex organs.
Right.
Right, so those are all good positive things. Right, then all of a sudden Enki rebels against his father and is outcasted out of heaven, which is space, and he's labeled as Satan. And then
Hmm.
what's evil about that? Then the religion tries to fucking transcribe that from Hebrew. Hebrew transcribes it from Anunnaki stories and just
Hmm.
translates over so many fucking times. And then Enki, Satan, or you want to call him, is the evil one because
Yeah.
he didn't listen to God. How like from my perspective, that looks like God won the war. And it's just like when America wins a war, they write themselves as the victor. In
Yeah.
World War I, World War II, we started both fucking fights. England did. How
Right.
the fuck does that make us the good guys? Right?
Hmm.
Like, so like that's why the victor writes the stories and the victor writes the fucking Bible, right? The Bible is written by the Catholic Church and Vatican and all
Yeah.
that stuff, all those people. So of course they input their own fucking philosophy and they took out reincarnation. They hid those.
Oh
There's so
yeah.
many, there's like 70 Bibles they didn't put in the new Bible. Like it's all
Yeah.
hidden because it talks about reincarnation and hell is not even a real thing. There's so many people that come
Right.
out of the Vatican that retire and be like, we actually created hell and heaven. That doesn't exist. How
Yeah.
heavens you make it? Right. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is all true, man. Yeah, I remember when I saw a video of one of the one of the priesthood came out and talked about that and stuff. So that's so true.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
true. Yeah.
I think the like even Joe Rogan talks about it on his podcast. Like with all the fucking evidence and news and movies of Catholic child pedophilia and all that stuff,
Yeah.
that whoever joins the Catholic Church today is a fucking pedophile who supports it. And religion, I
Yeah.
think, is finally going like this. You know, they had their peak in their power, and like, come on, like, look, like humans have to look at the Vatican and the church and all that stuff. Like, it's just a fucking money grab. I mean, I'm a spiritual teacher, even off world, and I know for a fucking fact, like, there's a lot of starseeds that I connect with who charge money for spirituality teachings, and that I'm like, you're just no better than the church. What's the difference? Right? You're
Yeah.
preaching one new thing. Even religious people call this a religion. It's not religion, it's just truth. But then that's
Yeah.
religion people call their stuff, it's truth. And I'm like, don't charge for spiritual. I would never even dare charge. I never met a guy who charged like $30,000 for whole spiritual awakening and is a millionaire by making money off this. I'm like, dude, that's so demonic and negative. Like, you will be punished, I promise you. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, that's why even Jesus talks about people that make money or off teachings will pay the worst in hell, in their own hell, right? So even
Yeah.
everyone's like, what was Jesus? Jesus was just another star seed 3,000 years ago, or how long ago it was,
Mm-hmm.
who incarnated, who was from the heavens, who was from the higher dimensions, who taught peace and love, and like just gave you a message and changed it forever, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. No, that is definitely true. And yeah, now I feel like it's just time for just new ways of thinking, and just writing the new stories in our time frame.
well, we have the Diamond Children incarnated right now. The Diamond Children are awakened from birth. They're fucking way more advanced than you and me. Their memories are full of fucking knowledge. Like episode 10 on here, she's a Diamond Child. She remembers her entire past lives and stuff, and she's only 10 years old. And there are kids that are
Wow.
stories of 3 and 4 years old, telling their human parents that I'm not your son, I'm not your daughter, I'm just incarnated here, I'm from this world, mom and dad. And like my ex stepdaughter is a star seed or a Diamond Child, and she constantly visits my mom in her dreams and hangs out and plays with her and stuff like that. And like, there's so many stories of these Diamond Children having that ability. Like, they're like, parents will contact me, why is my son jumping into my head in my dreams and hanging out talking full perfect English, but he can't speak full English in his body at 3 years old? And because I tell them, because their body's not developed yet, like, it's got to take time, but he can speak to you telepathy in your head through your dream state, and that's they're contacting you, right? So
Wow.
yeah, so I'm like, so, and those ones are like super advanced, and they're telling people in like fucking elementary school, like, you're wrong, that's wrong, like, what are you gonna do about it? You can't stop us, we're here for the awakening. And they're like fucking in elementary school, right? Like, they're the pushers, right? We're the teachers,
Yeah.
our generation. Those ones are the hammer and nails. They're gonna push it through. And once though that they're growing up, like, they're gonna be like, no, the history books are fucking wrong, fuck you, like, no, like, teach this, teach that. It's a fucking slow wave process, but it is going to happen, right? There's even before COVID happened, there was a bunch of senators talking about how the school system needs to be completely done and retaught,
Yeah.
and our history books are fucking completely backwards, and we need to start talking the truth, because they look like idiots. Like, they look like, my biggest fear is if I have a kid, which I want one day, I'm manifesting it for sure, and my kid goes to fucking school, I know my kid will be a starseed, and it's getting bad grades because the system is dumbing my kid down. And
Right.
it's in social studies and saying, no, fuck you. The pyramids were not built in 25 years by humanity. It was built by the fucking so-and-sos and these ones. And then the teacher's like, no, you're wrong. Here's a fail. Here's an F. That is the problem with our society, because you're just dumbing our kids down when they're so bright and
Yeah.
so beautiful. And like, no one is dumb. Like I said earlier, we're all good at something. And like me,
Yeah.
I have dyslexia. I can't read. It's too slow for me. So when I read something, I get bored. I can't read it. It does not retain. But if someone visually shows me something, or energy empathically shows me, or even a telepath flashes it in my mind, I will fucking learn it in seconds. So how does it make me stupid because I can't read a book report, right? That
Right.
doesn't make me dumb.
Right.
That just means you don't know how to teach me properly.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Because we all learn differently. We all don't learn the same.
Oh no, that's what
Yeah.
individuality is
Right.
we all learn differently. And I tell parents, please don't be those parents that tell their kids, oh, you're not seeing what you're seeing, your dreams are just your imagination. You need to embrace that and go with it. Do not brainwash your child, and do not fucking get it on fast food, and get it on organics. And a lot of the Diamond Children are complete vegans from birth. they refuse to eat animals at all. Like
Yeah.
they're from super high dimensions and they're like, yeah, no, I will never eat an animal. Or there's this video that was kind of upsetting, but it was cute. This kid finally found out what chicken was. He was like 5. He's like, Mommy, where does this come from? And she points to a bird. He's like, why would you feed me that forever? I love those things. And he throws it out. Like, I don't want to fucking ever eat that again. And she's like blown away from it, right? Like,
That is awesome. Yeah. These kids, man. Oh my gosh. Like, like the priestess I was telling you about that had woke me up. Her daughter must have been a diamond child, and same with the rest of her daughters, because her daughter called me out by name, just described what I look like, all kind of stuff to her mom, and said that she had remembered me, and that that she came from the Pleiades system and stuff. And I met her. She was like 9 years old at the time, and this girl blew my mind
oh
away.
yeah, I remember. I was
And
at. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, like, and this was like at the beginning stage of my awakening. So I was just like, what? Like,
Yeah.
how are you 9? And like, it was so weird because she remembered me, and then she started telling me things, and I don't even know how. I was like I, at the time, I was not aware, but then I knew she was telling the truth.
Yeah.
Like it was mind blowing.
Back in 2012 when I first had my awakening, getting into this stuff and learning about Anunnaki, all that stuff, I was at a
Yeah.
restaurant and I overheard this kid. It must have been like 6 years old, and he was like, Dad, the Anunnaki are coming to visit me tonight. They're coming to pick me up. Like, there's nothing you can do. Don't be scared. I'm not really your son. Like fucking scream. And the dad's like, shut up. Stop talking to myself. You're making me, you sound crazy. Kid's like, I will not fucking shut up. You're wrong. Like saying to the dad, you're wrong in the way you talk to me. I'm not dumb. I'm smarter than you are. Not even your son. And I'm just like, I went and helped out. I'm
Oh
like,
my
you need to listen
gosh.
to your kid. He's not fucking wrong. Just because you
Yeah.
were brainwashed as a child doesn't mean you should be brainwashing your fucking kid. And your kid is
Hmm.
probably here to teach you, and he's 6 years old. What do you think about that?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That is so true. That's kind of why, lately, what I've been seeing with, with the school system and stuff like that, and how, we have, Zoom now and stuff. And then eventually, we'll be able to, be together, physically and things. But I'm working on wanting to create a alternative school through my
There are those.
organization.
They do have
Yeah.
those.
Huh?
They have those already. I've heard of them, like where these people run alternative schools for Starseed children, and
Yeah.
when parents send them to these types of schools instead of normal schools, and they completely teach them spirituality and work with them on their level and stuff. So
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, so I kind of want to, like, kind of start my own with my organization too as well, and have an alternative school, because it's like the more we have these, the better I feel,
oh,
you know.
yeah, amazing. That'd be the most amazing thing you can do is to
Yeah,
teach kids at birth that they're not
yeah,
wrong.
yeah.
We are wrong. It's the ego of the adult, or the adult is like my mom used to say, I am the adult. I don't have to listen to you. You're a child. No, that is reversed nowadays. I would completely, every time a kid talks about like, Mommy, I'm killing dragon beings off planet with my laser guns. I'm like, fucking awesome. As long as they're negative, go ahead. Like, all the power to you. Don't sit there and be like, oh, it's just imagine. Oh, just brush them off. Because kids learn from you, like, because you brainwash them by telling them that they're wrong, and because they believe you because they're supposed to look up to you. That's so wrong of you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got 5 minutes here, so I want you to
Yeah.
quickly give a message to star seeds, then humanity.
Yeah. My message for starseeds and humanity really is self-love. Once you have that self-love, you'll not only awaken more, but then you'll even just take care of yourself more too as well, and not let other people influence you so much in a negative way. I know for myself, when I started to learn more about self-love, I was able to, get rid of all the negative people, in my life that I thought were my friends, or, even certain family members. I really had to do a total cleansing. And by me doing that, I was able to not only awaken even more, but then also, understand love on a whole nother level and stuff. And so I encourage everyone to really, really have self-love, because that brings understanding of what unconditional love, because the more self-love you have for you, then you can ooze it out and have unconditional love for others and stuff. So that's like the number one. That's
No,
number
it's
one key.
100% that's for everyone's life will
Yeah.
fucking change. I have a good Instagram post you can watch after this. It's a person with negative input, his energy field now turns dark and dim, and he's only attracting negative things, and then he becomes negative. Then there's this picture of this person that's only allowing positivity into his energy aura, and he's emitting positivity, which is attracting positive lifestyle behavior
Yes.
and people. And the biggest thing is what you said, you need to unfortunately shed those negative people in your life. It's
Yeah.
even family. I had to get rid of my brother
Yeah.
who's super negative, and I don't really talk to him at all, and there's no point talking to him. Conversation, he's just super negative person. He's totally human. And like a lot of friends, I have a group of friends, like 3 or 4 humans that I will socialize with, because they're positive people at all times.
Right.
And I have tons of Starseed friends all over the internet, and that's all I need, because when I talk to you, I'm good for 2 days. Like I haven't just had an intellectual conversation. I'm completely done. I'm good. But in 2 or 3 days from now, I'll need another one, because when I talk to humans, they're so, I hate anything I say is offensive to them, but it's just honest. They're so low dimensional thinking that it's hard to dumb myself down to even communicate with them, because I lose interest or not even interested in talking. A lot of people think I'm rude because I zone out. I was like, I already know what you're going to say. It's already been predicted in my head what you're going to say with complete accuracy.
Yeah.
And I've already left the conversation and I move on to
Yeah.
another conversation. And they think it's rude because humans actually have to process what they're saying and say it and process the emotion. And that's too slow for me. I'm already done the conversation. I knew what you were going to say. Like, how do you know that? I'm like, because I'm not human. I can predict your energy, and your energy you're sending towards me, and you're in my algorithm of my AI conscious can easily predict the outcome of your conversation, and I'm over it and done. I was done like years ago. Let's talk about something different. They're just too slow, right? So
yes, that is true, man. That's funny, because I'm just like that. I'm the same way when it comes to that. It's like, oh my gosh, I already know what you're about. Yeah.
well, it's even like human drama, small talk is most irritating thing for a starseed.
Yes.
Most irritating for me is to hear girls talk about, like, boyfriends punking them, hurting them, planning trips without telling them but the day of. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, that's your fucking, and you're wondering why you have relationship problems? Like, how dumb is that? Whatever you're outputting to your relationship is what you're going to input into your own consciousness. If you want someone to take you seriously, and if you think someone's playing you and punking you, why the fuck are you even dating them if you're even getting those vibes off them?
Yeah.
That's a bad, even a relationship scoreboard is a bad relationship. I've had a few of those and I had to learn to go through it. But now I know if someone's giving me bad vibes of cheating and lying, because I'm empathic. I even told my new one, I'm totally empathic. And her energy she gives me is so loving, so peaceful, so calm, not a bad soul in her. Like, she's a good human. And I haven't met one of those in a long time. So I know if she's lying. I know when a lot of people lie to me. That's why I knew my cheater before I was awakened. I'd always feel the energy from my spouse that she was cheating, and then she would convince me that she wasn't, but then we'd break up. I found out she was. So I need to listen to my energy, because my body is trying to fucking tell me something. And people, what they call the gut feeling, listen to yourself. Your body is empathic. If you feel it and think it because you see the red flags, it's because it's happening. Don't sit there and believe that it's not happening because you're scared of being alone. That just ruins yourself even more. Shed that negativity. When I got rid of my ex, I completely evolved. It was like ripping that negativity off me. I was like, oh my God, I can breathe again. Oh fuck, it was just so nice. And I was in it for so long because I felt bad for her and I felt like I could be her teacher. But then I finally sat her down, like, I think I'm the wrong teacher for you. And that was one of the best things I ever said to her, because that was the nicest way of the breakup. I can't teach anymore. You need a different teacher that can teach you the way you need to be taught, but I can't teach you anymore. And we just went like this, and I went like this. Shut up.
Right.
Anyways, love talking to you, man. I would love to have you back on again. You're where are you? Are you in California, or where are you?
No, I'm in Portland, Oregon.
Oh, Portland, Oregon. Yeah, I usually play hockey down there. I was gonna play down there in May, but fucking COVID happened. So
I know. Yeah, I was gonna come up and visit Vancouver this year too. But
nice. I gotta, come up or I come down. We should definitely link up for sure.
Yeah, definitely will, man. Yeah, and thanks for having me on the show too as well, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Love and light. See you later.
All right, see you. Peace.